Hey everyone, Tony here. Tony's LPs Are Us. Thanks for dropping in. And I want to thank everyone for their support of the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please try to subscribe if you can. Doesn't cost anything, helps the channel. If you have comments. Because this is a review, I don't usually do reviews of film. There's plenty of great YouTube reviewers on YouTube. And they do a great job. They have graphics, and I don't have any of that stuff right now. So, but this is a special review. As you know, a few days ago, I posted a announcement that Reinventing Elvis, the '68 Comeback Special documentary, was going to be shown in select theaters on July 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the West Coast as well. Different times adjusted. And it's now past 2 o'clock on Monday, July 30th, and I want to give my review of the film. I went to see it with some friends, some Elvis fans. They enjoyed it. I'm just going to give you my quick analysis. I took some notes, couldn't take notes inside the theater, so a lot of this is from memory. And it's a 2-hour. About 2 hours and 10 minutes, I believe, is the running length. And we went to a theater. We didn't buy reserved tickets. I was kind of apprehensive about that, thinking, this is going to be big. We should get tickets because most theaters now, you have reserved seating, and you could bring, you could order food. And, at first I thought, well, do we really need to get tickets? We'll go there. We'll get there early. We'll get tickets and we'll go in. And that's what we did. And when we got there, the parking lot was packed. And I know this was a 2 o'clock show. We were at the parking lot at a new cinema in Pennsylvania, at a new theater, very, very nice area, new development. And the parking lot was packed. I'm going, oh God, hope we can get in. Not knowing that there were multiplex, maybe 10 films going on in there, including Barbie and Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible. So there were movies earlier than Reinventing Elvis, which started at 2 o'clock. So we got there. Tickets, you see the chart. You get to pick your seats. Oh, first of all, I was disappointed. No Elvis fanfare at all at this particular theater. Not even a poster of the one sheet, which I shown from the internet. You could go on and look at the advertisement, the press release for Reinventing Elvis, the '68 Comeback Special. And it's a great one sheet. And I expected to see at least a one sheet or something noted on the marquee. And there was really nothing. So we bought the tickets. We got to choose our seats. And we basically could have sat anywhere because we were probably the 10th persons, or I was with 2 other people. Maybe there were 10 other people who bought tickets before we did. So, okay, we pick our ticket. We go, we go in, nothing on the marquee except a digital Reinventing L. It was EL. It was not even Reinventing Elvis. It was just a real. It was just terrible. Expecting to see, something huge. This is a huge event, for Elvis fans and for the Elvis world and music in general. And no big deal. We go in. Movie starts around 2:15 or so, and I would say, because I asked my friend, I would say, how many people do you think were in there after we left? To not more than 20, 25 folks, and we were 3. So very poor showing at this particular theater. And as you know, it's going to stream on August 16th, I believe, August 15th, 16th, which commemorates the death of Elvis. But, I want to see it on a big screen. Now, this was a huge screen, big, not IMAX, but big. It was one of the biggest screens I've been to. I've never been to this theater before because, like I said, Reinventing Elvis, the Comeback Special, was only shown in select theaters. So, I went out of our comfort area to see it. We drove quite a bit to see this movie today. I actually changed plans as did my friends. But anyway, my first impressions were, this isn't really being, there's no send-off here, like I said. And the movie starts out pretty cool, I would say. I'm not going to do any spoiler alerts. I'll just give you my quick analysis. You know, did the director, John Schieffeldt, take care of business? Well, I'll leave that up to you to decide, and this is just my opinion of the film. Since I know a lot about Elvis, I expect to learn more about Elvis when I go to these hyped up documentaries, hyped up films, or whatever they are. And I think because I do know this story, I wasn't overwhelmed by this documentary. But let me just go back and give you my quick assessment. Like I said, like I was saying, it starts off really cool inside the studio, which was NBC Studios at the time in 1968, when they were going to film Elvis live in the round with the audience, with a live audience of. We go on to find out who was in the audience later on in the film. Bender talks about that. The director is very cool. I'm glad for him. He gets to put his piece out. I believe he had a book on this subject, and I think a lot of this documentary is based on the book that he did. Maybe it's a coffee table book on his reminiscing of the documentary. I mean, of the special, how he got involved, how he had to challenge certain, quote, evils in the Elvis world to get this thing done. And I'll talk about that as well. But basically, it starts off pretty cool. We're inside the console room, the control room, and everything's analog. The TVs are square tube TVs. The dials are all analog. There's no digital. Very, very, looks like something out of a 50s sci-fi film that was filmed in the 30s and try to look futuristic, because it isn't futuristic. It was basically what those studios looked like. They were primitive. And we find out in the beginning that Elvis was apprehensive about coming out to that one segment where he had to perform his hits from the 50s and 60s or early 60s in front of that audience. And that was being filmed. I believe it was filmed on 4 occasions, and they used the best scenes. If you really want to see everything that was filmed, pick this up. This is about 7 hours. I talked about this the other day. It's a 3 DVD set, and it has all the unreleased footage. The special was only an hour, less commercials, so, an hour, 45 minutes or so, whatever. And I'll read the hype sticker on this just as a quick footnote before I continue on my review. Over 7 hours of material, the first comprehensive collection of footage from the 68 Comeback special. Meticulously remastered picture and sound, includes over 3 hours of previous unreleased material footage. And what you do is you go in, and one disc is just the live performances. The rest are outtakes. There's one disc is the original broadcast, which is pretty cool because I watched this yesterday. So it was just as a precursor. Here's the DVD companion to that. And you can see on top, there's the LP. That's the bootleg. And there's my signed photo of that Priscilla signed for me when I met Priscilla. That's a beautiful photo of the three of them now, all together upstairs in heaven. But so I just wanted to put that up for all you fans. But let me get back to this. So we find out that Elvis is a little nervous. And then we were hit with, obviously Binder talks to him. You got to go out. You got to do all this. And boom, he hits the stage. He's with his buddies. It's like a jam session, and we find out in the film how that even came to be, how that jam session, what's what I call a jam session, how that raw in the round depiction came about, and you find out about that watching it, and that was interesting. That's something I didn't know. What was clear in the film that they wanted to portray Colonel Tom Parker as the villain, as the bad guy in Elvis's life. They went into some of his background, which I didn't know, overseas. He was an illegal alien, illegal immigrant, alien, whatever term you want to do, but he wasn't a citizen. He never became a citizen. They said he left his country in the dead of night with the clothes on his back. We find out a little bit about a history which may be criminal. So when you see the film, you will get some insight into that. There's lots of clips of our turbulent 60s. We had assassinations. They even went back to the Kennedy assassination, but we had the Robert Kennedy assassination, Dr. Martin Luther King assassination, which was really around the time of the special in 68. We had the riots that ensued. We had protesting on college campuses. We had people burning draft cards. We had the Vietnam War. We had napalm. We had everything. We had Elvis is what they depict in decline. Now, the name of the film, Reinventing Elvis, to me, I don't think that's fair because I don't think they reinvented Elvis. Elvis was who he was. They may have pulled him out of that little cocoon he was in with the Colonel, with the films, but the special just gave Elvis that little confidence that he needed to play live. And the film also is insightful in the fact that it explains to you, to the viewer, how that special even came about. Originally, it was the singer presents Elvis Presley. It was deemed a Christmas special. It was right around Christmas, December of 68. The Colonel wanted Christmas songs in it. That didn't happen. Elvis put his foot down. There was one Christmas song in there that they kind of had in there by error, and it kind of got the Colonel off of Binder's back as far as having a Christmas song in there, because Elvis and Binder were on the same page for most of it. Elvis was very cool with Binder. Binder said, out of all the folks I worked with, all the stars I worked with, Elvis was so easygoing and so available to my suggestions and my input and my writing of the skits and the song setups that he was really amazed. He loved working with Elvis. And I think Elvis loved working with him. Binder was about the same age. We're still fortunate to have Binder to reminisce about this. Everyone else is gone. One glaring lapse or void was there was no Priscilla did not speak in this film. Her name was only mentioned a few times. Elvis talked about having Priscilla stay in California when he was filming, so he rented a place for his family and Priscilla and the family. But Priscilla was not present. None of the Memphis Mafia, as far as I remember, were present in new interviews. Who's ever surviving, they did not get their input. And those guys were with Elvis. They were his entourage. Elvis was the first major star to have an entourage and to have a group of people with him all the time. So I thought that was kind of lacking, and I thought those guys could have added a lot of insight to the story. They did interview 3 or 4 of the dancers, the original dancers in the different setups that they did. They did various song setups, and to me, it's very similar to the films that Elvis did. There was always a sequence where Elvis was acting and he was a singer in a certain situation, and that's what these skits were. So if you do get a chance, to see the special before you see the documentary on Paramount, I think that would be helpful to you. This was basically, um, it showed that the risks that Binder took, television in the United States in the 60s and prior were not diverse. They were not equal. Um, African Americans did not have a lot of places they could star in on television. And on this special, it was a very diverse group. Elvis had dancers from every walk of life with him. The choreographer talks. He's still alive. 3 or 4 of the girls that were in the dance sequences talk, and they just adored Elvis. They just said he was wonderful, and how can you not? Elvis was happy. He loved doing this show. Um, there's no clips of Elvis, as far as I remember, talking about doing the show later. Usually they'll find archive footage, and we'll hear Elvis's. This documentary is not in Elvis's words. This is a documentary in the director's view. They show more. It's a lot of the Colonel. The Colonel was slippery as a fish. He lied to Bender on multiple occasions, as he lied to Elvis on multiple occasions. There's also speculation toward the end of what would have been had Bender and Elvis continued to work together, and they talk about why that didn't happen, or why that should have happened, or why that may have happened. We talk about that. It's nice. It's overall, I think it's more beneficial to the casual Elvis viewer or the Elvis fan that does not remember the special, because my good friend didn't really remember the special. He wasn't sure if he saw it as a repeat or if he saw it live. But we were all maybe 11 or 12 at that time. So even if we did see it the first time, we wouldn't remember. But since I'm a fan, more of a huge Elvis fan, always been. I bought the DVD box set. I have this CD, as you can see here, with all the outtakes on it, right there. And so I know this story. One thing I wanted to point out, it's kind of a template that was just depicted in the Elvis movie with Austin Butler. It has that same template, and when they get to the special, the '68 special portion, a lot of that is in there. That's in the film, is in the documentary, in almost the same terminology. So, again, the bad guy is the Colonel. The good guy is Elvis. We don't hear Elvis's guys, which I wish we did. So overall, I didn't learn a lot. I learned a little, very, very small, but it was great. The reason I went, I could have waited 2 weeks and seen it on my television with surround and all that good stuff. But I wanted to see Elvis on the screen, and I wanted to see that face and that sound and that swagger and that charisma on the big screen. So I accomplished that. One thing I like to mention too is the videos that they showed of the '68 special, resolution-wise, wasn't up to standard of the rest of the film. The close-ups of Elvis within the '68 special were great, almost like 4K quality. But when you backed up and did a wide pan, you could see the resolution wasn't there. And I don't know if it was the theater I was in, because it was really stretched out. This is a digital theater. It was really stretched out, so it shouldn't affect it. I think on television, it won't be as noticeable on a lot of the 4K televisions now, and 1080p 4K, it won't be as noticeable. But overall, it was good. I'm trying to think. I want to mention too, there's some interviews and a few, the celebrities that did the interviews were Mafio, Drake Milligan, who I believe was on American Idol. He was in an Elvis series, and Darius Rucker from, forget the group now, but he's a huge country singer now. He was with a great rock band, so I'm trying to remember, but it'll come to me. But a great album, by the way, that Darius started at. And Darius talks about Elvis, how Elvis influenced everyone. Mafio talked about how Elvis influenced everyone, even if they don't know it. Drake Millington went over the special charisma that Elvis had within the circle and how he knocked it out of the park. They also talked about the last track on the last song, the special song that was given to Elvis to close out the movie. They talk about that. Binder talks about that. It was a very special song. Talks about how he had to go head to head with the Colonel. You know, Colonel didn't want this, Colonel didn't want that. Elvis stood his ground for probably the first time in Elvis's, pairing with the Colonel. Elvis stood up for himself. And later on, Elvis, after this, which reinvigorated Elvis, I think, to perform live. And we know the great legacy he left in the casinos, the hotels in Vegas, rather, and all over the American, the U.S. He didn't tour outside the U.S. We all know now because the Colonel did not want him to leave. The Colonel was very overprotective of Elvis going outside his realm. He knew he had the goose that laid the golden egg, and it cost us all a lot of enjoyment because of that, because Elvis basically listened to him. So, and the good thing was when I originally read the synopsis of what was in the documentary, it had indicated that these celebrities I mentioned would do Elvis songs and perform, and I didn't really go for that. But that's not really the case. It's not anywhere near what I thought. They do a few bars and they talk about Elvis. Whether they're qualified to talk about Elvis, that's another matter. To me, I know these people are celebrities, but they're not anywhere near the star power that Elvis demands, or that should talk about Elvis. I think a person who could have maybe gave some great insight would have been Butler or the director of the Elvis film, because when he did that segment of the Elvis special, the 68 Singer Presents special, like I said in my previous video, that was so detailed that you could see the nail polish and the jewelry that these girls wore, the hairstyles. I think he could have really talked about this, but then you're taking away from Binder, and I think it was Binder's show. Binder was interviewed back and forth through various cuts. The documentary is very complex. It's well done. There's a lot in it, a lot in the 2 hours plus. There's a lot of music, royalties. The royalty lawyers were probably working day and night, not only for permission for the music, but permission to use news clips and interviews that were done previously. We got some TV shows that Elvis was on early on, because it spans Elvis's career, and then it goes to the special. So overall, the huge Elvis fan is not going to learn a lot, but he or she will enjoy it. The Elvis fan that is a casual Elvis fan, or maybe an Elvis fan now because of the film, they'll probably love it, because how could you not love Elvis? Overall, obviously the music in the show, On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 10. As far as the content of the documentary and what I gleaned from it, I give it a 7. So I don't think it took care of business for me, but I'm thinking that's just me. You may love it. And when I watch it again on television, I may love it. I didn't love it. But it's rare that I love an Elvis documentary. The one Elvis documentary that I mentioned to my friend that we went to see it with was this one. This is Elvis. Hi, Elvis. We got Elvis right here. He can't talk because of copyright infringement. But this film, this documentary, this is Elvis. It came out after Elvis passed away. This is Elvis. Let me see what year this was. This is 81. So this is just amazing. I'll just show you the record. I was impressed with this documentary. I actually bought the vinyl. And here we have, looks like a clip from the 68 comeback. I haven't looked at this in a long time. But this starts off Elvis TV shows, Elvis being produced by Sun Records. The Gardner interviews in here. The Ed Sullivan Show, Arrival in Germany, Priscilla, receiving awards, Elvis and Priscilla, home from Germany. I did it my way. So this goes right to the end. This is a fantastic documentary, and you'll learn a lot from this. If you learned a lot from this special, and when you see it, pick up this special. It might be streaming. You could probably get it. There's a lot of great deals on Elvis on online on eBay or Amazon. I'm not sure if this is still in print, but I love this. I give this a 10 and a 10. Reinventing Elvis, my review, and I'm not a reviewer. I'm not trained in that. I'm just telling you how I feel, and I'm really interested in how you felt. If you got lucky enough to see it today. Today was a beautiful beach day here. A lot of people probably opted out for that. A lot of people probably had plans because this wasn't really advertised. A while back, I guess. It was talked about on Facebook pages and Elvis fan pages. But like I said, the Elvis fan that's not fanatical probably didn't know about it. So overall, music, obviously, I give it an 11 out of 10. Content, delivery, what I learned, who was in it, I give it a 7. I think it tried to take care of business, but for me, it left a lot that I wanted to know. I wanted to see clips that I've never seen before, and I really didn't see that. Maybe one or two, if that, but that's me. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. I'm not telling you not to see this, but it's a definite. And like I said, I'll be watching it again, and I'll probably, I don't know if I'll buy the Blu-ray when it comes out. I might. It depends if it's commentary track from the director, which would be cool, and commentary track from the original director, Mr. Binder. So keep rocking, and as Elvis would say, right here, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this half-hour spiel of mine. And I'm just happy I got to see it. I just wanted to relay these thoughts while it was still fresh. That's basically it. I have all my notes. And again, it's an eye-opener because you'll see the turbulent time, you young kids out there, that the 60s were, especially 68, with the assassinations of major political and spiritual people, leaders, and you'll see that, and you'll gain some insight. But that's just, and 10, 11, and 7. That's my review. So keep rocking, and we'll see you later. Thank you. Thank you very much.